Oh, oh, on the edge. On the edge. You're living on the edge. Here's the link.
I'm on the edge.
We're on the edge. Are you on the edge?
I'm always
You're
on
on
the
the
edge.
edge. You're on the edge. You're on the edge. I'm on the edge. We're talking
Always
about
on the edge.
Bigfoot. Bigfoot? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something about Bigfoot. Something about. We both posted the new live link in the same thing. That's funny. Uh, um, yeah. When I was a teenager, I was home alone in the Maine woods at our house. It was like a mile to my nearest neighbor, and my brothers were not there. They were at their dad's house, and I was there alone in the house. And come like, I think it was like 1 or 2 in the morning, I heard some shit moving around outside the fucking. It was like a trailer converted into a house. You get what I'm saying? Like they had taken a trailer, the people that owned it before us, and like put siding on it and a real roof and all that shit. So
Yeah.
like this thing was moving around out there and it looked like a person. So I thought it was like a friend or something, someone fucking with me. So I started looking out the other windows and I saw a much bigger frame than that and it scared the piss out of me and I stayed away from the windows. I went and grabbed the gun and did a panic call to my mom. But yeah, I didn't get a good glimpse of it, but it was about 8 foot tall and about 5 foot across the shoulder, and it was definitely a humanoid. So I would say maybe and a lot of like hard science people have said this, that, mountain apes, like some evolved species of mountain ape or cave ape, something of that sort. There's lots of caves in Maine, so it would make sense. There was lots of caves in Missouri. I've heard they call him the Missouri Mo or some shit like that. He's been spotted here too. And there's lots of caves here, bro. Lots of caves. So I'm thinking it's some kind of cave monkey that has evolved and probably has some ancient technology that was left behind, and they probably fuck with shit that was lost from other shit because they're really creepers, man. They stick to the shadows usually unless you're intruding on their zone.
Yeah. Well, I got to be honest. I'm not.
You're not
I'm
a
not.
believer, but you
I'm
haven't
not a
seen it.
believer.
Have you seen a ghost?
No.
I've seen ghosts too. So, and in more than one location and with more than one person present. So, some people have those encounters, some don't. Some people invoke those encounters, which, I used to do that when I was younger, but it got fucking scary as fuck, so I stopped doing it. Once you test something and it can't be explained, you start going, okay, maybe this is like the horror movies, man. Don't fucking test it. Whatever. But I don't know. I was not a believer in ghosts or Bigfoot until those occurrences happened. So, and I've always been a hard science type of person. Uh, so unexplainable to me. I've also seen UFOs. So, I don't know, man. I'm like the Erie, Indiana kid, man. The one that's seen it all. And it's just like, I can't believe it, but I have to believe it if I saw it, right? If I saw it, it's real. It's got to be fucking real if I saw it.
That's true.
I mean, and with the ghost shit and the UFO shit, it happened with more than one person present as well, and different occurrences of different things. So, like, it was never the same thing. So it wasn't the same reoccurring image or whatever. It was always something different. And I remember I was studying some shadow magic and shit, and how to like mess with shadows and stuff when you're in the woods at night or whatever. So I took this group of friends. This was back, fuck, I was 18, 19 years old. I was fucking with this shit. I probably shouldn't have been. But anyway, we went out behind the cemetery in the forest out behind it. So we weren't on hollow ground. We were off the hollow ground, which in the lores and shit, that's where all the energies like wall up against the hollow ground like it's zombies against a wall trying to get in. So we went over there into the woods where that shit was and like extinguish all of our lights and it was so many years ago, but I started doing this chant, and as we were walking through the woods, you could hear shit in the dark skittering through the woods ahead of us. Like on the sides of us where we weren't walking, and in front of us. And like it was literally audibly allowing them to be heard. It was crazy, dude. That was a mass experience with more than, just a few people. It was pretty fucking crazy, dude. That was when I was like, okay, that was like the beginner stuff, and I stopped fucking with it because when I saw that shit was like there, I was like, dude, okay, so this other shit is like really there probably, and I don't want to go there, so I just kind of stopped fucking with it. But yeah, um, I don't know. I believe that it's not really probably ghost things. Like ghost things, I think are like just etchings in sound. You know what I mean? Like like a record player skipping, like an etch in time space from something like a front door making the same noise over and over again. I feel that sound can like etch a scratch into reality so that you can hear a ghost sound of it, especially on old houses. I've really noticed the whole living and dying of houses. People have always said, when a house isn't lived in, it starts to sag and like nature starts overgrowing it. It's an absolute fact.
True.
A house is a living organism when there's something living in it. It's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy, I say.
That it is.
It's alright. Now shut up. Bigfoot. You don't believe in Bigfoot.
Nope.
UFOs?
Yes and no, both.
Ghosts.
No.
Okay. Now, I'll bring you to the scientific edge of this ballistic questioning. Um, to think, to think of continents versus islands versus other continents in our prehistory, what we perceived as one thing being an island and this being a continent. My perception of space is that we are again back to the origin of our mystery, which would be we're again an island, but now it's in a vastness of space, which has a cosmic vastness. Like they've literally looked through the center of the cosmos and like, or the center of the universe and see other universes out there. So like the vastness of vastness is so vast, it's unimaginably vast.
And I agree, but here's the thing: the laws of physics that apply on Earth also apply on all other planets, right? Like,
Not necessarily. Some gaseous planets.
Well,
we
there's
can't.
still the same laws of physics. There's just a different makeup on their planet than there is on Earth. But gas is still a gas. Elements will still react with you know what I mean? Like chemical reactions are chemical reactions, right? Like everything that's on Earth is going to be the same stuff that's on other planets. There may be more of it, and there may be some things that aren't on Earth, but stardust is stardust.
Well, there's been lots of science fact that's been found to be science fiction. So to make anything science fact is an obsolete. We can't really do that. But our physics could and can apply to other places, but we don't know the
But
vastness of
well,
criteria that may be bending why we see
the
those rules
the,
that
the,
way.
the chemical, the molecular makeup of hydrogen is going to be the exact same on Jupiter
Right,
as
but
it's going to be
physics
on Earth.
laws are not going to be the same necessarily.
The what?
Physics laws, not chemical laws. I'm talking physics.
Well, how they interact, and an object in motion stays in motion, and the speed of light. All those things will be consistent.
Yeah, but without us living in a world of gas to be able to monitor how like chemical structures interact within that atmosphere under those pressures, we don't really know if our physics apply to those sciences or not. We only know under gra- our gravity, our atmosphere, our pressures that we have, or if it's been tested in a vacuum or not. Which
Yeah,
most of the things we
but
emulate
that's not the laws of physics.
most of the things that we emulate in space have been known to come true the same as it is on Earth.
Because the laws of like gold is
Of the
gold.
molecular, right, on the chemical level is the same, yeah.
Like and the laws of mathematics are the same. Like 2 + 2 is still going to be 4 no matter where you go. Right? Like the only thing that's going to change is understanding and language and physical limitations and stuff. But as far as the building blocks of the universe,
Holy shit, as we're talking this, Sigourney Weaver just fucking walked up in this bitch. I'm not even kidding.
Shut up. No.
Sigourney Weaver.
Julia, I feel like Dobby the house elf.
Dobby the house elf.
Dobby is a free fucking elf.
She shaved her head, man.
No, your wife shaved my head.
God damn.
cool.
Support bald.
No,
Support
no,
bald.
not cool.
We support bald.
Yeah.
I support cancer treatment and research if it's actually pointing in the right direction, which would be cannabis. But anyway.
But to get back to it,
yeah, what we were saying.
The point I was trying to get at is that the universe is the same age everywhere. So all the same things were going on all over the universe at the same time. Okay? So I agree, there could very well be life out there. There probably is. If I had to bet my life one way or the other, and then I was going to be told like the answer, I would go with there is life before I pick there's not life, because as you pointed out, the vastness and everything, it dictates it's got to be. But what would be the reason for wanting to come to Earth? Right? Are they that much more evolved than us? Because the chances, I guess what I'm getting, like, how do I explain? The chances that a species could, evolve on a planet and then evolve to the level where it would have the technology to be able to do intergalactic space travel at multiple times the speed of light in order to get between the distances, in order to get to Earth, seems they would be limited by the same things we are limited by, like asteroid strikes, laws of physics, all that stuff.
Space
so
dust.
I believe that they're out there. I just don't believe, like us, that they have the ability to go anywhere. that they're out there somewhere doing what we're doing right now.
Well,
Maybe a
and
little
the
more
other thing
advanced.
is that just because we base our communication standard on XY frequency doesn't mean that that's what they're broadcasting on.
No, and I'm not saying that either. I'm
So
just
that's
saying
another
that.
thing that people don't think of is that, okay, we're searching the skies for a frequency we recognize, but they may be using something that's either evolved beyond us or something we never discovered, or who the fuck knows, you know? Something that's only good to their planet or their world, whatever. So,
Well, but that still wouldn't change that they would have to overcome the ability to travel light years, right? And that's the one. That's the one that I don't believe that is. Uh, I just don't see how that could happen. I think when space travel happens, it's going to happen.
have you ever
They're going to
have you ever seen Cowboy Bebop?
no.
Okay, it's an anime, right? And it's kind of like this tale of a fucking vigilante type of intergalactic bounty hunter. Um, and he's got like these companions. It's a really good show, dude. If you and it's got action and fighting and like tomfoolery and all that. But anyway, the premise is he's a bounty hunter, and he always like he lets his heart decide, and he ends up not getting paid usually because he's just trying to help people out. But anyway, he's still a badass, and he fucks all this shit up. But the way that they get through to different areas, and some worlds know, and other worlds don't know that these rings exist. Um, there's like this secrecy level, alien technology secrecy level shit, and there's like this intergalactic like space police shit that's like monitoring it to make sure you don't share the technology or let lesser life forms know you're using it or whatever. But basically, it's these jump rings. What they do is it's a giant ring like a space station, which it is a space station in space, but it also doubles as a transport system. And the ship flies into the middle, and that ring uses magnetic force and just boom, zaps it at beyond light speed in the trajectory of the other ring where it's going. And then when it gets to that ring grabs it magnetically and reverses it, and it just slowly just, trolls out the other side like it didn't even move.
Yeah, well,
And it's a jump ring type of system. But those type of
but that
technologies.
wouldn't address the physical limitations of a biological body because no creature evolved going the speed of light. So the G forces at the speed of light are going to just going to vaporize you against the wall. Think about getting in a hot rod at 100 miles an hour on the quarter mile, right? Or take it off at an airplane on a runway. Like you're not going to be able to take the biological being and go from 100 miles an hour to you know 36,000 miles an hour instantly. That's the
Well, in
speed.
a lot of the sci-fi movies, they counterbalance that with balancing the humanoid form in water or some type of suspension liquid, and they
Yeah,
feed them air and food and shit. And even though it only takes a short period of time, they're like sustainable if something fucks up. But it's like,
and then there is the dangers of space. So if you're gonna shoot from here and go to the next galaxy, right, at say 50,000 miles an hour, right?
you're gonna run
That's
into space dust
yeah. There's a lot of shit. There's a lot of shit out there.
at 50,000 miles an hour. A piece of space dust will blow your asshole out your eyeball.
Yeah, they'll put a hole in the side of your spaceship pretty quick. Like there's now I realize there's ways they can get around that. Like you can say, well, they hit force fields and stuff. But all I'm saying is there's a lot of very physical obstacles in order for us to travel between galaxies, right?
Well,
In
the other
maybe,
method would be wormholing, which we're already working on, in this country. And that's where you don't have to worry about space. Basically, it's the whole concept of folding paper on paper. You punch a hole through it, so you actually don't move. You're just like transporting to that location. And once that's done, then all this petrol moving cargo and all that shit will be obsolete because they'll have transporters. It'll be done using wormholes, basically. They're already working on that shit. Have been for years.
yeah, but that's if that can even happen.
Now, you got to also realize that if you go by the Big Bang concept just in the aspect of where we are in the universe compared to other galaxies and other clusters and all that are moving out and away, and those that have moved out and away, we're actually closest to the bang, which puts us closer in the time of the bang and the remnants of coming from that versus those that are out beyond us in the cold out there and their stars and shit. So whereas we're sitting at X millions of years of evolution, they're sitting at hundreds of trillions of millions of years of evolution. So the technology that they would have evolved to at this point is beyond our comprehension.
But in their early days, they would have been subject to all the same things that we were.
Right.
Right.
But
Like,
you got to evolve past all that and find a world that's got some fuel that you've never discovered before that allows you to do X, Y, Z or what. You've got to slowly work out like a terraforming.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is it doesn't matter about the technology. It doesn't matter about the fuel. Right. It still comes back to that living beings are subject to death.
I would say if I was to write a sci-fi
Like,
book on fact, it would be titled just because humans can't get it together doesn't mean others in the universe can't.
But it doesn't.
It would be they've probably gone through millions of years of shooting their own children in the face before they got to where,
It has to do with, all the physical limitations that limit us on Earth. They all have the same obstacles.
Well, it depends on what world they're on.
The planet is evolving, and they're.
Well, not all worlds will be subject to our laws and our physics. They could be lighter, taller framed.
The universe is. Like, their planet is subject to asteroid strikes just like ours is.
Yeah, but they're not necessarily going to breathe air. They're not going to necessarily be on a planet with our gravity, so they might be 8 foot tall and as skinny as a beanpole. You don't know.
Tried to factor that into what I'm saying. You keep going back to this just because we're humans, and I'm not talking about humans. I'm talking about the laws of the universe, like the laws of physics, the laws of mathematics.
Right, but each planet has its own atmosphere. If there's other intelligent life, we don't know what they're going to be like.
The planets. We're not traveling on the planet. You're not going from one side of the planet to the other. You go from planet to planet where the gases don't matter. Space is space. Okay? The debris in space, the vastness of space, like the speed of light, all like the light years, the distance. All that will be the same for everybody.
Yeah, but somebody millions of years ahead of us in evolution would have mastered wormhole technology already.
Okay. And that's what I'm saying. I agree with that. But the chances of a planet surviving that long without going through some sort of mass extinction a couple of times like we did on Earth because of the laws of the universe.
Oh, that's impossible. That's mandatory.
Like, I'm agreeing that
the planet's a living being regardless of where you're at.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. That they
basically a planet is a living being. Its core, basically what it does is it takes its own substance in at one end of the planet. In order for it to be a planet, it has to have a core. So it takes in the mass on one end of the planet or multiple ends of the planet. And what it does is it compresses it. It's compressed so densely that it's sucked into that core. And from that core, it vents and blows the core back out into the outer atmosphere. And through this, the skin moves on plates constantly, and the temperature is going to change constantly over periods of millions of years. It doesn't matter what planet it is. If it's a planet with a core, it's alive. It's basically eating its own skin and spitting out new skin, and that's what it does. And that's what planets do. And then humanoids live on them. And it can be higher or lower gravity, different oxygen, different atmosphere. Humanoid forms can evolve anywhere as long as those criteria are in balance for them to evolve. But then you're talking worlds way out on the outer edges of space we can't even really zoom in on, are so many millions of years ahead of us in technology. If there's life out there, that we wouldn't even, they could probably walk around us and we
But
wouldn't
the other
even know
side
they
of
were
it is,
here.
man, there's no way to know that. Oh, I'm getting feedback big time.
Oh,
There's no way to know that when you look at one of those stars, that star could, if it's 100 million light years away, that star could have burned out 90 million light years ago.
right, exactly, yeah.
So,
And that would be the biggest fear, is that our scientists discover a world right as we're getting its last transmissions.
well, there's a possibility of that.
Yeah,
You know,
but
but I do believe there's all kinds of beings out there on other planets, doing what in their own way, like what we're doing here on Earth. Maybe not exactly the same, but they're trying to figure it out on their planet, and they're trying to get off it, to go exploring space. You know? I also believe there's other planets out there that probably has life on it that doesn't even realize that there is space. Okay?
yeah, I believe that. Here, here, here would
There
be
could be ocean worlds out there that the whole planet's nothing but ocean, right? And there is no land, and it could be nothing but whale type creatures and fish and stuff like that.
water-dwelling humanoids.
Yeah, well, I don't think we probably look more like, I don't think a human would be very practical in the water.
No, wouldn't, would it?
No, we're not really that practical on land. you know,
Well, actually,
you
for
know,
what we were designed for, we are, but we don't do that anymore, which is hunting, gathering.
yeah, if you wanna,
Long distances and short bursts is basically what our frame is built for.
if you think man is superior to animal, go to Africa without a weapon and try to live a month out in the savannah. You'll soon find out that there's lots of animals out there that will soon punk us.
Which takes us back to the racial thing, actually, is that, if you look at the structures of different humanoids on this earth and their cultural background, the reason African descended people have thicker bones and all that structure is that they just recently came out of a hostile wildlife environment where a thick skull was important against a tiger biting your fucking head.
Yeah.
A thick skull was good in case an elephant frickin' trampled out of the fucking woods out of nowhere and scared the piss out of you. Shit like that. So, and then you look at the European and how they've got the lighter, frailer frame and the more northern climates. It's more for energy conservation, really. So, it's just like every culture on the planet, if you look at them, they have evolved to their specific environments in their area of the world for their climate over, whatever, thousands and thousands of years. But I'm a firm believer that the multiple races on the planet aren't all from that either, that some are from crashed people from space that maybe blew up their own shit, buried their technology, came here to survive, and now over time we've just evolved back toward it again.
Yeah, well,
14 minutes in this episode, number 2, with Angry Bong. Angry Bong was getting angry. He was, I heard him.
you weren't listening to what I was saying. You kept
Yeah,
repeating yourself. You weren't listening to
I
my
wasn't
point.
catching on.
Hey.
Which races came from space? I definitely think the Asiatics did, and the Europeans. I think the Asians actually landed here on purpose to colonize, whereas I think the European descended people actually crashed here and buried the shit out of disgust. And I don't know. That's just my theory. In my opinion, like honestly, the Indians, nomadic Indians, and the African nomadics are the only true Earthlings. The rest are descended from alien crashes or displaced servants who were just left behind. But that's me. That's what I believe. There's too many documented situations in ancient ruins and shit with landing strips and other stuff for it to be. They were using batteries, using orange juice. Come on, man. That shit's like, who the fuck would think that shit up? Yeah, it's just too crazy. So if you're an advanced race, you crash, you have nothing, then you try to make some of your advancements out of the primitive shit that you have access to, which would make sense to the batteries and stuff in Egypt that were found. All kinds of freaking shit in Egypt. Running water. Dude, they had all kinds of fucking shit that was way advanced. It's just not explainable by modern science at all.
Well, I think a lot of times when people look back at the stuff the ancient Egyptians did, they used the same arrogance that Europeans did when they got to South America and found all the Aztec stuff. When the Spanish first got there and seen all that, they naturally assumed that other Europeans had already been there to show them how to build it, right? And I think that once you, like again, the laws of mathematics, of geometry, like once you figure out angles and stuff like that, uh, if you have the imagination, you can build anything. And back then, they built it all with blocks, right? One thing they did in Egypt was had lots of sand.
The Romans did some fucked up shit too, man.
The Romans showed they took out that oh fuck, what's the Jewish fort up on top of the mountain that the Romans had to build the ramp up to get them, and then they all killed themselves in defiance. You know what I mean? The Jewish stronghold.
No.
Yeah, fuck, what the fuck's the name of it? Anyway, the Romans built a great big ramp. They couldn't get up to the top of this mountain to get the fort. So the Romans just built this giant ramp out of mud so they could fucking march on it. And when they were going to get there and they were close, all the Jews on the inside killed themselves rather than let the Romans kill them as a final act of defiance. And I'm using that as a reference that the Romans showed that in a short amount of time, with a large group of men, dedicated men, you can build large ramps like that and do great things. And I think if motivated because you thought the sun god might melt your ass, you could build a lot of stuff.
The fear of God's in their ass.
Well,
We want to thank Bloviator and
believe
Darren.
in the Nadabs that only reason you're alive is because you pray to the sun god.
And Jonathan Dennis for being in the chat. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
The only reason that I'm alive is that I pray to the sun god.
Well, like, if you believe that, if somebody believed that, like they did in Egypt,
I do believe that.
right? That fucking then
The sun gives everything, man.
you'd be very motivated.
The sun even gives the moonlight. Can you believe that shit? Yeah.
Yeah, I know. But only one half of it.
The sun is the giver of light, man. Without the sun, we would be a fucking cold ass husk with a lot of dead people on it.
That's true.
Yeah, it is true. The cold of space. You cannot survive the cold. Where they have those action movies and they show the person like jumping in a suit and holding their breath. I'm just like, no. You would fucking, dude, you just jumped into fucking dry ice, motherfucker. You're like, there is no holding your breath. Like, what the fuck are you trying to tell me?
The vacuum of space suck the eyeball.
It suck your fucking eyeballs inside your head. But
you'd expand and blow up,
dude,
instantly. It would be over.
Your gravity would go in all directions.
If you were a body out in space, the half of you that faced the sun would be frying, and the half of you that was facing away from the sun would be froze. Right?
Dude, you're making me want to draw a picture. I'm gonna make that one of my paintings. I'm gonna write that in here. I'm gonna write that down. I like that. That's a good image. I just see a picture of a guy floating in space. He's half frozen, half burned.
Do you ever see how much space junk's up there that we've put in space?
Oh yeah, yeah, I've seen that shit. That's disgusting. Dude, you know, I actually thought, I'm like, if I was a millionaire or a billionaire, I would just create a salvage crew. You get what I'm saying? I would just fly up there, fill a fucking.
Well, it's not that simple. It's how do you hook onto something at 18,000 miles an hour?
Well, they do it all the time.
Not junk. They hook onto great big satellites and stuff, but you're talking about everything from pieces of satellites down to the size of like paint chips and screws. And the screws every bit as dangerous in space as, it's actually more dangerous in space than big stuff is, right? Because you can see the big stuff. That's why whenever astronauts go for a spacewalk, it's so dangerous. It's because of paint chips and screws and stuff, the stuff that's hard to track.
Crazy.
I was watching Neil deGrasse Tyson talk about this. It's a real problem, and if they don't figure out how to clean some of it up or stop putting it up there, he said eventually we're going to seal ourselves off, and it's not going to be safe for anybody to try to fly through it. So that's a scary thought in itself.
What about a giant vacuum cleaner type thing?
Well, how would a vacuum cleaner work in space? In a vacuum? A vacuum relies on air. Like you're sucking the air through the vacuum, and then in turn is sucking stuff with it like a tornado, right? So there's nothing for a vacuum to suck in space. It would have to have some sort of air supply. You know what I mean? Like I was watching him talk. I'll find the clip for you. It's a good watch. Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about the space junk. It really is
crazy, man.
And what a big problem it is. Like nobody really understands how big a problem it is. Like,
Duh, dumb nuts.
Imagine getting hit with a screw at 18,000 miles an hour.
Dude, it'd be like fucking worse than a bullet slug. It'd fucking make your shoulder explode. A vacuum in a vacuum. Johnny's like, good job, dumb nuts. A vacuum in a vacuum. You're listening On the Edge with Nabs and Angry Bong, or Angry Bong and Nabs.
We're living on the edge.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. That's some crazy shit. A fucking bolt flying through the fucking air. Take your ass out. Damn. I wasn't even thinking that little tiny ass shit.
Yeah, the big stuff, you know, like they'll be all
Johnny B's Space Scrappers. He's already at the blueprint drawing board coming up with a fucking scrapping. No, I seriously thought about that, you know, because there is that one cartoon animated movie, and the guy is a giant reclamation scrapper, you know, and his dad was a scientist, built a planet builder or whatever. I forget the name of it. It was an animated movie. It's pretty good. Anyway, look that up. Terraforming, I don't know, animated movie. Anyway, so yeah, he was scrapping. He worked with a whole crew, and they had this giant ship, and they just flew out there on these like robot jetpack things with cutting torch arms and gripper arms, and these cargo barrels that were kind of drone remote, you know, driven, and they would throw the scrap pieces they were cutting off into the scrap barrel that flew itself. It was pretty crazy. I was like, yeah, clean up space. I don't know. 3 minutes, 24 seconds. Yeah, man. We're up late, yo.
Yeah.
It's like 12:14 where you're at.
No, it's only 11:14 here.
Oh. Well, our show's over. We got 2 minutes.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. It happened again.
It always happens.
It happens every time. But yeah, man. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Next week, maybe we do it back to back again. Episode 3 and 4. I don't know.
Are you gonna do another one?
You want to do another one?
Yeah, I'll do another one.
Do another one. Episode 3. Yeah, 3. 3 coming right up. Here's Ron Jeremy. We'll be right back on episode 3. And I'll find the name of the movie. I think. Maybe. Shit. And I just lost the track I was going to play. Here's Unpaid Bills. We'll be right back. Episode 3. 2 and 2. And we'll post it. Titan AE is the name of the movie. Titan AE. We'll be right back in 53 seconds.